Today we are taking a look at what might be the best ultra-wide zoom at its price point, the Tokina 11-20mm T2.9. The 11-20 is the successor to the incredibly popular 11-16 and has proven itself to be very popular for people wanting a solid ultra-wide zoom for their Super 35 systems. The 11-20 has a rated image circle of 30mm, however from around 15 to 16mm onwards, you'll be able to use it on full frame sensors with some slight vignetting. The 11-20 is available in PL, EF, E, Micro Four Thirds and F mount. However, the mount is user changeable, which is handy. Though for the best results, we would recommend having a service centre like the one at our West London location carry this out to make sure your scales are accurate. Physically, the lens is incredibly compact, which is great for cameras like the Komodo and the C70. The PL mount version we are looking at today is roughly 99.5mm long and weighs roughly 1.1 kilograms or 2.4 pounds, which is pretty good considering the build quality and the 14 elements in 12 groups optical design it houses inside. The lens has a front diameter of 95mm and a 86mm filter thread, which will be handy for people wanting to mount filters on lighter setups. The lens features a close focus of 12 inches, which at 11mm will give you some interesting frames. However, the 300-degree focus throw is long for this kind of lens. I think this may have been better being slightly shorter for solo operators. However, when used with floaters, which you can, as focus, zoom and iris all have standard 0.8 pitch gears, this isn't an issue. The mechanics feel smooth and consistent, which is great for hand operation, but it will take to motors very well also. We think that the 11-20 will be a very popular lens for people wanting a cinema-style ultra-wide zoom lens for their lightweight Super 35 setup. So, the Red Komodo and Canon C200 or C300 Mark III for example. All of our test footage here has been shot on the Red Komodo. We took it out on our shoot with the FX6 to capture all of the BTS with the camera as well as grab a few shots. Let us know what you think of this combo in the comments below. Now onto our more controlled tests. When it comes to coverage, the 11-20 surprised me. At 11mm, it vignettes slightly on Komodo when shooting in 6K 17:9, but this could be usable for some. If you zoom in slightly, this is improved, and by the time you hit 14mm, the coverage has drastically changed, with it nearly covering the 3x2 Sony Venice sensor we used to illustrate the lens's image circle here. At 16mm, the lens is covering the full Sony Venice sensor, with only a little bit of vignetting towards the corners of frame. The markings on the zoom ring change to orange when you hit 16, so that is a good way to remember when you can expect full frame coverage. I'm not sure if this was a design choice by Tokina. If it was though, it's a great little detail. From here, the lens covers the full sensor well, with varying degrees of light fall off as you move through to 20mm and through our test focus range and t-stop range. If you want to see how the lens will behave on your camera, head over to our lens tool via the link in the description. When it comes to bokeh, at T2.9 it is pretty consistent throughout its focal range. You can see some CA on the highlights as well as a little bit of texture. As you increase the focal length, you can see this character more and more. The bokeh also looks overcorrected as you have a bright ring and then another hard ring around the outside of it with CA. Shape is good in the center at the wider focal lengths, but becomes slightly odd out towards the corners of frame. This is reduced from around 18mm onwards. When you stop down to T4, you can see that chromatic aberration is reduced, which makes the bokeh look a bit less defined. You can also see the 9-bladed aperture forming decently round shape towards the center of frame. Flare is completely subjective, but the flare that the 11-20 produced from our DLE-D7 is very well controlled. You can see very minimal failing glare, and the flare gets a bit softer as you head towards 20mm. You can see a little bit of rainbow flare at around 18 and 20mm, which disappears when you stop down to T4. Stop down to T4, performance is similar overall with a slightly different character to the flare, but it does stay pretty consistent. The 11-20 does feature some breathing throughout the entire focal range, but it's not awful, and will only really be noticeable when performing large focus pulls. When it comes to resolution, the 11-20 performs well in the center, but does drop off towards the corners of frame. As you stop down and increase the focal length, performance improves, and at 16mm, corner sharpness improves through to 20mm. Bear in mind that this is when using it on our Komodo, so resolution may drop off further if used from 16mm onwards on a large sensor. Overall, performance is very good. However, the 11-20 does suffer from chromatic aberration across its frame, which past this point is much improved, and as you expect, stopping down does improve it, but doesn't completely eliminate it, especially at the wider focal lengths. During our creative test shots, we did notice quite a bit of CA, which you can see here. The 11-20 is a rectilinear lens, which really helps with distortion. However, it still does suffer from a small amount of barrel distortion. Though, as you zoom in, this is handled better and it becomes almost indistinguishable. The Tokina 11-20 is a very versatile ultra-wide zoom lens with good performance. Its compact, well-built cinema housing will make it feel at home on any Super 35 cinema camera system, especially the Komodo and the C70. At its roughly £2,300 price point, there really aren't any other zoom lenses like it. So if you think something with this focal range will fit into your kit bag, you won't be disappointed with its images. Let us know what you think of the Tokina 11-20 in the comments below. Make sure to hit subscribe, and thank you for watching.